Hello. In this video, I'm going to walk you through some of the more advanced things you can do through the fairly simple function called concatenate. The first thing we're going to do is combine these three columns into one column under the full name section using the concatenate function. As you can see, there's no period after all of the prefixes. So when we enter the concatenate function, we are going to make sure that we include one. First we type in concatenate and we select the first cell that we want to be combined. After that we go comma, and then in order to enter the period as well as a space in between these names, we need to do quotation marks, period, space, and quotation marks. Now we put in another comma and select the next value you want to be selected. So we click on first name, now comma, and then again, to insert another space, we do quotation marks, space, and quotation marks. Another comma, and then we finally click on the last name of the cell we want entered. From there, we just hit enter, and we get the full name shown in the proper form. We can just drag this formula down all the way through, and we see the full names of everyone in our list. Now, say we have a value that's only present in some cells, but not all of them. So I'm going to drag this column out and show middle initial. So hypothetically, only a portion of the respondents included their middle initial. So how would we account for this using the concatenate function? What we would do is we would have to make an if function using the count feature. So first, we would type in if, then the parentheses using the count function. Count A actually is the function we'll be using. So when we type in count A and select the middle initial column, and then say if the column is equal to 1, meaning that there is a value in there, then we can now make the results that will come out if it's equal to 1. So the first thing we type in is the value if it's true, or if it's equal to 1. So for that, we'll use a concatenate function that combines, again, the prefix followed by a comma, parentheses, period, space, and parentheses, comma, first name, comma, parentheses, space, and parentheses, comma. Now we're going to insert the middle initial. So we select that, then comma, parentheses, space, and parentheses, comma, and finally followed by the last name. Now we need to enter a value if the result is false. In other words, if the middle initial equals 0. So we hit a comma, and now we need to type in a new concatenate function for if the value is false. So to do so, we just type in again, concatenate. And for this one, we're going to start off similarly by selecting the prefix, comma, parentheses, period, space, and parentheses to end the prefix. Now another comma, select the first name, parentheses, comma, parentheses, space, and parentheses. And now we're not going to be selecting the middle initial column because there is no middle initial for the values where the count A function equals 0. So now we just select the last name and then just put the final ending parentheses on the function. And that'll give us a function that we can carry all the way through to the bottom, and it'll give us a value whether there's a middle initial or not. So we hit enter, and we see that the middle initial is included in this name. We drag it through, and we can see for the values where there is a middle initial on the screen, it is shown in the full name, and where it is not, the complete name as it was before is shown. So now this is an example of how we can use concatenate with one row. But what if we have values that are shown on multiple rows going down the screen that we want to combine? So we're going to hop over to this other spreadsheet. As we can see, there's text lined all the way down. If we were to use the regular concatenate function that I just showed previously, this would not work. So in order to make this work, we're going to have to use a function called transpose within the concatenate feature. So in order to do so, We are going to start off with the basic concatenate function that we've been doing, and then inside it, insert the transpose function. From there, we can select all of the values that we want to combine. None of these values, though, have a space after them. So if we were to just concatenate it like this, all of the words would be, they would just be displayed in a line with no spaces in between them, and you would not be able to tell where one word ends and another word begins. So after we select the array, we need to put, normally we would put a comma from before, but for this function, we actually need to put an and sign. So we put the and symbol, and then again, like we were with the spaces before, parentheses, space, and parentheses. From here, we're almost done, but we need to highlight the whole transpose function, and then we hit Control equals sign, or F9 also works for this function. So Control equals sign, and then we see all the text displayed like this. The final step is deleting the inside parentheses from both sides of the function. Once we do this, we are ready to hit enter and see the final value. As you can see, all the words are now connected in one flowing sentence. One thing to note after you do this is that this function will not be altered if we alter a word in the original array that we selected from. So say hypothetically I take this period at the end and replace it with a comma. Hit enter. We can see the period is still there and it has not changed. So that is just something to note if you use this function, that you're going to have to run the whole thing again if you change any of the values in the original, if you want to get the final value changed as well. Thank you for listening.